Ugh. It's not snowing out. I got coffee. I'm awake. You're watching. Why not? Let's do it. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. All these cords. What a mess. Move that out of the shot. That's a little better. We can do better. There, that's better. Oh, that's what happens when you shoot live video at home. You got stuff. There's stuff. There's stuff everywhere. Oh, I'm yawning. Look around your house. There's stuff. There's always stuff. Back when I used to do IT professionally, and quite often I would be going into people's offices or homes, home offices, and quite often they would apologize for their stuff. The house is a mess, I'm sorry. And most of the time it wasn't. It was just life. You're not going to have all of your things put away when you're in the midst of using them. And I found that the people who apologized the most were usually the ones with the least reason to apologize. I went into some gnarly homes, you know, people on the hoarding spectrum. They never apologized. They knew what they were. They didn't make excuses for it. As long as I could get to what I needed to, I didn't care. There were a couple places where I needed to shower after, because it was gross. But so what? It is what it is. It takes all kinds. It really does. Good morning, Stacy. Yesterday was not an easy day. Yesterday was a challenging day, and I'm not going to go into it. It just wasn't a great day. Today looks like it's starting off better. I'm feeling better. Oh, I got a good night's sleep. Forgive the yawning. I yawn this time of day pretty much constantly. This slider says, your first cup, my last cup. Right on. But got some good work done. Recorded an episode. It's 3:30 here. Man, that's early. You're on the West Coast. What else? What's going on today? Some client stuff. I'm going to try and get out to the warehouse and sort through all the gear. Try to move things into separate boxes. Because I've had to go in and get to some stuff. And it's covering the garage. It's just, there's so much stuff out there. And it's not organized. So I'll figure that out. I gotta figure out where to put it. Because the place that I would put it is occupied right now. With client records. That's right. I told them that by the end of June it's gotta be out. Or I'm gonna start charging them a lot. I don't think they're gonna make it. I really don't. They have years of records to scan. But maybe it will. Who knows? Anything else happen? Had acupuncture yesterday. Oh, went to the gym for a little bit. Came home, ate some frozen pizza. That's what I was in the mood for. When I'm in a rough mood, I don't tend to eat the healthiest food. I was gonna eat tacos. And I like tacos, but I didn't. Maybe I'll have tacos tonight. Tonight, I will be joining my friend Nish and a couple of his students at their dojang to do some more filming for the German Athletic Martial Arts channel. I'm excited for that. I've got, I think, another 8 or 10 things that we can shoot. And so that'll be cool. Got some prep work I gotta do, like cutting my hair, because I don't want to go on camera like this. I'm too scruffy. Stacy says, yay for new videos. Yeah, I'm excited for these. The ones that we put out, those have done okay. Good morning, Ryan. And the next ones will drip out, one a week. So, get them all ready. And this is really the test. Does the channel grow from the next block of videos? Stacy says, but you're on camera like this. Yeah, well, it's different. I'm in a bathrobe. The standard's a little bit lower. If we see some growth in the channel from the next block of videos, we'll keep doing them. If we don't, we won't. I'm trying to be a little more realistic about resources, time, energy, money. And if something has a reasonable chance of growing, we'll put some resources into it. If it doesn't, and that's one of the things that has been tough about running this business. The things that I enjoy doing aren't always the things that need to be done. And I need to be aware of that difference. Slider says, whistlekick bathrobes. I've looked into it. There's nobody that makes bathrobes in an inexpensive way. I have a hard time getting you guys to buy these mugs. I'm going to have a harder time getting you to buy robes. Let's be honest. See? Being honest. There's another way of phrasing it. Anyway, it'll come to me. Just being fully cognizant of the reality of the situation. It's an important thing to do. I will not be wearing that gi. You see that gi in the corner? Or is it right there? That had been sitting in the closet. I don't think I'd worn that for at least a year, probably 2, maybe more. It had been quite yellowed. And I had a friend, a martial arts friend, here visiting, and we were chatting about uniforms, and I said, I've got a closet. Half the closet is gis. It's old gis and doboks. And so I was showing him, and I said, this one, I can't bear to get rid of it because it wasn't cheap, but it doesn't look that good anymore. And I said, I've not really tried to clean it up. So I did. I took a 5-gallon bucket and washed it out, and I put a bunch of Dawn dish detergent and a bunch of OxyClean in there and stirred it up and just put the gi in and took a big wooden spoon and smashed it in there for about a week, and just a couple times a day would agitate it, move it around, and took the pants out, let those drip off, put them in the washing machine, and then gave the top another day or so doing the same thing, put that in and washed it, and the pants came through almost perfect. And repeated the process with the top, and now there's barely a little bit of sweat, a little bit of yellowing around the collar. So if you have an old white uniform that you are really trying to bring back, at some point we might make a video on this, who knows. OxyClean and Dawn soap. Simple. Just let it sit, move it around, wash it out, repeat the process until it gets clean. It'll pull just about anything out. Blood, sweat, tears, not that tears generally stain a white uniform. But there you go. I will not be wearing that when we film tonight. On camera, I don't look great wearing a white uniform because I'm light complected. I may wear the black uniform from last time, but I might also just be completely scandalous and wear, like, I have a blue one and a red one. I might wear one of those. Do I wash my belt? I do not. I have never washed my belt. My mother once washed one of my belts when I was young because it fell off in the toilet. That is the only time any of my belts have been washed. I thought that was a universal martial arts thing until I learned it wasn't. That some martial arts schools don't teach that. That hey, because think about it, your belt, it gets sweaty, it gets gross. I've never smelled my belt, but I don't want to. It's probably disgusting. I think I've Febrezed it once, because that's not the same. Yeah. Anything else to say? I don't think so. My carpenter friend may be coming back to work on stuff today. I don't know. Which is part of the reason that I've got to do some work in the garage, because he's going to do some work out there. The warehouse. It's a garage warehouse. Depends on what perspective I'm thinking of it as. Is it personal? Then it's a garage. If it's whistlekick or martial arts rated, it's the warehouse. If I'm training, not that I've done in a while up there, because it's cold, it's the dojo. Why do I call it a dojo when everything we do at whistlekick is style agnostic? Because I tend to use Japanese terms. Because that's what I grew up with. I believe your first significant martial arts experience is how you tend to see martial arts. I've known Taekwondo people who move on to other arts and they tend to see things from a Taekwondo perspective. And it's kind of inherently human, right? Think about when you learn your first language. As you get older, if you learn another language, you tend to have an accent. Same idea. I put a karate accent on the other martial arts that I train. Used to drive my capoeira teacher nuts because I kicked like a karate guy. It's like, no, not like that. I miss capoeira. I miss training. I miss training with people. What else can I tell you? I don't think there's much else to tell you. It's another day. We're moving on. I tried to play video games last night a little bit and got to a stressful part and the music got dramatic and I just went, I don't have time. I can't handle this right now. Don't turn it off. All right. Let's see what you guys gave me to talk about. Come on. All right. We've got some stuff from Frank. Here are 5 quotes mentioned in a June 7th, 2018 Newsweek article about Doctor Virginia Apgar. Let's see if I can talk one more time. Here are 5 quotes mentioned in a June 7th, 2018 Newsweek article about Doctor Virginia Apgar. Nobody is going to stop breathing on me, she said about why she carried resuscitation equipment with her. That's being prepared. One of the things I find interesting about martial artists is that we are generally conditioned from early on in our training that being prepared for a self-defense situation is a good thing. And this is where you see a lot of martial artists start to carry weapons, knives, handguns, etc. We're not going to go into those things. But there is this general understanding of being prepared. But I find that martial artists don't do a great job about being prepared in other ways. I've spent a lot of time with a lot of martial artists, and I've spent a lot of time with non-martial artists. And I don't find that martial artists overall are more prepared for life than non. If you take a look in the back of my car, you'll find a basic medical kit, you'll find windshield washer fluid, you'll find tire inflator, patch kit, road flare, extra clothes, etc. A bunch of stuff. And then day to day, usually bring water and whatever else. How many of you would think it was weird that someone would bring resuscitation equipment with them? It's not something I know how to do. It's not something I'm going to do, but I don't think it's weird. It's something that's important to them. I wish more of us were more prepared more often. I do. But here's the problem. Here's why we're not. Because we have to admit that bad things can happen. As martial artists, we're really good at admitting, you know what? Violence can happen. But we don't tend to think about other things that could happen. About this pandemic. There's a lot of things that have happened that people never imagined could happen. They happened. And there were people who were intentionally or accidentally prepared, and they fared far better. I spend a lot of time, energy, money, preparing for things. If you told me right now, hey, Jeremy, you can't go to the grocery store for a month. Yeah, okay. I'm going to be eating a lot of boring food, but I can do it. If you said, hey, Jeremy, you have to go the next week without electricity. Yeah. Okay. I'm really not going to enjoy that, but I can do it. Something to think about. Especially with what happened in Texas. Women are liberated from the time they leave the womb, she once said. She didn't believe that being a woman had impacted her career, according to her National Institutes of Health profile, but sometimes privately expressed frustrations with gender inequality. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I have a hard time empathizing with people who don't see men and women as equal. They're not the same. Men and women are not the same. But they're equal. There are things women do better than men. There are things men do better than women. Generally speaking. Doesn't mean that they can't do those things that they're not as good at. I can never give birth. But for the most part, I can do other things, right? I could raise a child. We're getting there. It's taking time. I've said it before, it's slow, but we'll get there. Just need to be patient and pushy. Recognize that it doesn't happen overnight, and recognize that we all need to apply some pressure to the status quo in order to make it happen. And the simplest thing is make sure that if you have kids, they understand. They understand the importance of that equality. Because if you've drilled it into them, if they get it, it's going to be really hard for someone to change their mind later. Come on. Here we go. Number 3. 5 points. Heart rate, respiratory effect. I can't read this morning. 5 points. Heart rate, respiratory effort, muscle tone, reflex response, and color are observed and given 0, 1, or 2 points. The points are then totaled to arrive at the baby's score, is how she explained the Apgar score she created in her journal article, Evaluation of the Newborn Infant Second Report. I have no idea what this is. I'm going to move on. Frank, I needed more context on that one, and that's okay. Some of you may know what this is. I'm guessing if I was a mom or had a baby, I would know exactly what this is. It's just that I haven't found a man who can cook, she said about not marrying. CNN reported, hey, I can cook. I'm a damn good cook. In fact, that's one of the things that when I date, when it becomes, when we're at the point where I invite the woman over, say, hey, come over and I'll make you dinner. I do most of it. In fact, in most of my relationships, I've done most of the cooking because I'm a better cook. I like cooking. I like cooking for other people. I like producing something that other people enjoy. Podcasts, this show, products, books, guides, food. Makes me happy. And let's face it, cooking is a heck of a lot cheaper than going out to eat. Going out to eat for two people for, let's say, $50, that's an fairly inexpensive meal out. You know how awesome a meal I can cook for $50? $50 is like the best quality food and a great bottle of wine and dessert. I can kill it for $50. I've had ideas for restaurants, and early on in the pandemic, I thought about getting a food truck. But I figured, you know what? It's going to be pretty hard to get that implemented. But there's still a food truck idea that I'm quite certain would kill it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because it might happen, and I'd rather have the big reveal. I just need someone who understands commercial cooking, because I don't. I can put together recipes, but I need to know what food cost stuff looks like. Anybody out there? If anybody out there wants to partner with me on a food truck, let me know. I don't have the time for it right now, but we can make it happen. They said they were looking for someone with enthusiasm who liked to travel and talk. I love to see new places, and I certainly can chatter, she said about the job she took, working as the director of the Department of Birth Defects for what is now the March of Dimes. I need to look up who this person is. I've heard the name, Doctor Virginia Apgar. I need to look up who she is, because I don't really know her. Birth defects. Any stuff that impacts kids, it bums me out. And we've made a lot of progress. We have a lot of understanding about the impact of, say, smoking or alcohol or other drugs on children and the birth defects that they create. But there's a whole other world of nutrition and environmental concerns that we don't fully understand yet, because we don't fully understand how they affect people while they're alive. We're in the midst of understanding epigenetics and how things that you do today have an impact on subsequent generations. And that may sound trivial, but it's literally not. There are genetic expressions that, the best example I can think of is smoking. If you smoke, the impact isn't limited to you. It literally affects children that you conceive after you start smoking, and their children, even if those children and grandchildren don't smoke. There are genetic predispositions for things, genes that get flipped on or off as a result of those actions. And we are barely scratching the surface on that. But once we have a better understanding, which it's coming. I mean, we've made huge progress. The mapping of the human genome occurred in my lifetime. What's going to happen in the next 10, 20, 50 years? It's mind-blowing. Good morning, Nathan. But because we don't know doesn't mean it doesn't have an impact. So this is where I think it's really important to live as close to nature as possible. We grew up in nature. We evolved in nature. We are a product of nature. Separating ourselves from nature doesn't make sense. So when in doubt, if you have a choice between different actions, which one is the closest to nature? The natural one is usually the right one. It's not snowing. No maple sap out of the trees yesterday. We'll check again today. I might have to re-drill or go a little deeper. But sap should start running today. It's supposed to be warm. It was warm overnight. Give me some stuff to talk about. You can or choose not to continue Frank's theme of this being Women's Month and pick quotes or comments from women. You can ask me questions. You know, we get people on the show live asking me questions. You can ask similar questions, deeper questions, the same questions in the comment section once the show closes. If you have feedback, email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. If you're listening, that's the best way to ask questions. Ask me those questions in email form. You could also recommend a guest or a topic for Martial Arts Radio. You could let me know about anything else going on. I love hearing from people. And don't forget, we've got the Patreon, we've got whistlekick.com with the mugs, we've got all kinds of stuff that help us pay the bills. So if you like what we do, please consider supporting us in some way, even if that's telling other people about what we do. Okay. All right. We do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, live on YouTube. Catch it later in your podcast feed. If you're new, subscribe, turn on notifications. And I'm going to go. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace.